Hello and welcome, everyone. It has been a hot minute since I've been on here, but I found something that I figured most of you would find useful in the sound design space or community, I should say. Something fun to try out. I stumbled upon this problem by working on a project where I wanted to just use one VST for everything, but I wanted to FM two different sounds together to see what would happen, and I had no good way of doing that because I wasn't using Vital, and I wasn't using Serum, I wasn't using Citrus. I was using, if you're an OG, I was using this. Some people say that you're not a real producer if you don't have Serum. I beg to differ and say you're not a real producer if you don't have Meowsynth. Because, come on, look at him. Anyway, I sorted this problem out after watching a video that I'll link in the description below. I'm sorry, I don't have the name off the top of my head. It's like 2 in the morning right now. But they were using the kilohertz transient shaper to sidechain on their track, which was kind of interesting. And it finally clicked with me of why my sidechain in my kilohertz plugins weren't working. So this video is about how to get your sidechain inputs on your kilohertz plugins working properly in FL Studio to do things that get you sounds like this. Let me pull one up from my most recent expenditure, or not expenditure, my recent venture into Meowsynth. So stuff like that you can get out of it, which is kind of wild. Let's begin. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take Meowsynth, right? Cute little guy. His name is Tom, by the way. Anyway, Tom here, if you turn the sustain on Tom up, which is supposed to be meow, but it's the MOEW. Just backwards, but whatever. The middle part's backwards, but it's whatever. If you turn the sustain up, you get a sustain note. Turn the portamento down. There you go. Clone this guy and route it to 2 different buses. So the first one we're going to route to 21, and the second we're going to route to 22. In order to sidechain in FL Studio, there's 2 ways to do it. You can right-click and select sidechain to this track, or say sidechain to this track only. That's the way a lot of people do it. I want to show you something else that also works that does the same thing. You can see that this is being routed to the master track right now. We're going to disconnect it from the master. We're going to connect it to the track or the insert that we want to use. And we're going to turn the mix knob all the way down to 0%. This ensures that your track the audio is being sent to that bus, but it isn't being mixed with the output to the master that this second insert is actually outputting. What I mean here is this. If I put in a pattern here with both of these guys at D4, D sharp 4, or E flat 4, if for all of you flat nerds, what you'll find is that Meowsynth 1 isn't outputting anything, but Meowsynth 2 is. We're sidechaining. What does this mean for our kilohertz plugins? So what I wanted to do was use ring mod. This is where I started my venture at. Every single kilohertz plugin that I know of, at least in the free edition, has a input 3+4 or a sort of input sidechain input selection to take in external audio in and use that as a modulator. However, for whatever reason, this isn't ring modulating properly. How can I tell? Because if I change the note of the modulator, it gives me the same output. Something isn't right here. It should be ring modding. What was actually happening is I'm getting an attenuation of the signal. So here's what you need to do. Go to the gear icon, and you're going to go to this second gear icon here, which is the VST wrapper settings. This controls the properties of how the wrapper is interacting with the VST. The problem here is that the audio isn't being routed properly. So what you have to do is you have to go into this gear, you go to the processing tab, and you change this auxiliary 1 input, which if you see in the top left here, it says sidechain index for input 2. Change this to 1, or click this auto map inputs button. It'll automatically detect mixer inserts that are being sidechained or inputted into that insert, and select that for the auxiliary as the sidechain. Now, if we go back to the plugin, it sounds a little bit different. But now, if I change the pitch of this, we're ring modding. We're ring modding using this second guy as the modulator now. Now we're doing what I want to do. You can kind of play around with it and kind of see what kind of effects that you get. I'm going to put what I like to do is put an OTT on it. Let's put it at 100% so that you can hear it, what's going on. And hear that. That's what it sounds like. And then I use pitch shifter. And then right after I use a frequency shifter on the modulator. This allows me to control the frequency of the modulation in the playlist. So if I want to do the modulation, I can play around with I can play around with the pitch here, and then go to tools, and then last tweaked, and then I can tweak the pitch right here from the pitch shifter. You can play with the pitch in the piano roll. I think there is an option somewhere in here that you can control the fine pitch. You can change the channel pitch there. There's like 90 different ways that you can change the pitch of the modulator. Pick your favorite one and go with it. I just do it this way for the sake of putting everything onto one panel to play with. So ring mods get you some really interesting textures. The second trick I want to show you is something that gets you a little bit closer to that FM sounding. I probably should have kept all of those, but whatever. Something that gets you a little bit closer to that FM sounding kind of feel is if you use phase distortion. The way that phase distortion works is that it uses either the input signal itself on a feedback to FM, quote unquote, or you can use a sidechain input to do the FMing with a couple extra fun knobs, because your phase distortion also has this normalized knob and it has the tone knob. Now, the tone is a filter, and the normalize is, when I look at it on an EQ, it looks like it's just like band passing, which is really interesting. So I set this sidechain input, and you have to do this again. You have to remap the side chain. It's really annoying. And now this little cat is making this thick bass. That's how you route your kilohertz plugins to the input of the sidechains in FL Studio. I haven't cracked this for Ableton yet. If you want to see me do that, then leave a comment, I guess. Yeah, like, comment for the Ableton. I'm really curious to see what you guys come up with. So feel free to share the sounds that you guys make and some kind of cool combinations that you guys come up with. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stick around if you want some extra processing, a little bit of extra processing that I do to get this cat to sound like this. It's not entirely clean, but it definitely could use a lot of work. But anyway, I hope you guys find this video useful and you can make some cooler sounds than I can. I love you, appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace. Anyway, I'm now going to do some like sort of, not fun, but I'm gonna like tune this sound a little bit, something a little bit more usable, and kind of give you a couple little tricks here. So the first tip is destructor. This sort of basic destructor setting is already really cool. If you turn off the speaker, you get this really cool effect. Problem is that the chorus lays in front of the distortion, which is kind of weird. So if you lay this back, now you got this. Now you get a really cool effect. Turn the feedback down, speed, kind of somewhere in there. Play with it, and just play with a delay. And you can kind of, let's see, band past this bad boy. And then throw an ensemble in the front of that bad boy to give it some unison. Go from there. That's just like the starting position for you to go with your sound design patches with this thing. By the way, all of this is coming from this little cat right here. Someone's going to correct me. I'm pretty sure his name is Tom, if I remember correctly, from the VST, from the guy who uploaded it. I think it was a Ukrainian guy. Fuck is going on? So it's like FM, but with like an extra layer of tonality filter and this band pat, and it's like, I want to call it like a formant, like kind of filter. On it at the same time, and this little cat can make some thick basses. So what we're gonna do what this does is the frequency shifter acts as your lower formant, and you can use it to accentuate those lower formant frequencies to get those sort of vowel-y textures to your sound here. I really wish I could like tie the filter to the attack knob on the little cat so you can actually see the cat move. I think there's a way to do it. If I actually modify the carrier, or not the carrier, the modulator cat. Oh, that's cool. There's a cool idea in there somewhere. It's a little harsh right now. I do apologize. It's going to be like that for a little bit. And you can use a second guide to kind of... You can like... Oh, God. It never ceases to entertain me, the different sounds that could come out of this cat's mouth. Look at him. Anyway, I hope you guys find this video useful and you can make some cooler sounds than I can with this methodology to take two different plugins and modulate them together. The kind of things that kind of stick out at the top of my brain right now, color-based techniques where instead of convoluting the two signals together, see what happens when you like FM them together, like a saw stack and a meow with one another, and just see what happens. Like, I'm curious. You can do it with this method. You can quite literally, FM with big quotation marks, but go wild, guys. Go fucking wild. Anyway, thank you for stopping by and listening to this video. I'm sorry it took so long to do this. I got sidetracked for a bit.